Time for some Tuesday film review from our Virginia game this past Friday. We pick out some of our most significant plays and why they'll matter as the season progresses.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Wolfpack, free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Happy Tuesday. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs, fresh off of his first ACC network appearance as well. Hope everyone's able to catch Kenton on the network this evening on Monday night. Quite an accomplishment. Congratulations there, Kenton.
Appreciate it big time.
Something to jump into here before we get into our film review on Tuesday. This is your Tuesday reminder that we are wearing black in Friday night's game against Louisville. Black. If you are going to the game in Carter Finley, that means you wear black. It is quite literally that simple. We've said it last week. We mentioned it yesterday. Do your part. Wear black. The team unveiled their black uniforms on Monday. Apparently, they glow in the dark for some reason. Not sure how functional that is during the game itself, but very cool when the lights are surely flickering after we score our 7th touchdown of the game, we hope. Nonetheless, if you are in the stands and you are an NC State football fan, you are to be wearing black. There are no excuses.
If you're not wearing black, we're going to treat you like Beyonce fans treat people who yell when she says everybody on mute. So just letting you know, if you don't know what that means, Google it, and you'll find out.
Don't tweet it, though. The Beehive will come for you. I guarantee.
Oh, absolutely. 1,000%. Don't do it. Don't do that.
Getting into some of this Tuesday film review, of course, now it's been a couple days. I've breathed a bit. I've drank some water. I'm able to, diagnose what exactly went on in this UVA game this past Friday. We have both picked out one offensive play or series and one defensive play or series. We're going to discuss what happened and its significance moving forward. I'll kick us off here.
Let's do it.
I'll start with my offense. I chose the first drive that we scored on toward the end of the first quarter into the second quarter. Now, this was significant because we had just turned over UVA at midfield on downs. They went for it on 4th and 1, and we stonewalled them. So perfect opportunity to take this momentum and quite literally run with it. And that's exactly what NC State did. But the series went as follows here. First down, Delbert Mims, short gain. Second down, Delbert Mims, short gain. So 3rd and 4 on the UVA 43, Casey runs an arm side quick out for Armstrong for 5 yards and a first down. This is where we hit the gas pedal. We then had 1st and 10 on the UVA 38. Brennan Armstrong play action and then rolled right, delivered a strike across his body, might I add, to Porter Rooks for 16 yards. One of the better throws I have seen Armstrong make all season long. Rolling completely to his right, basically a dead sprint, flicks back across his body, delivers a missile to Porter Rooks on the money for 16 yards deep into UVA territory here. The next play, 1st and 10 on the UVA 22. Armstrong then hits Timmons on a comeback route toward the sideline for 10 more yards, another first down. Crucial here because in one of our keys, we talked about averaging 5+ on first downs in this game. You just got 3 or 4 first downs in the same series here. The next play after that was 1st and 10 incomplete. On 2nd and 10, that was the amazing route that KC ran to collect his first touchdown in the back corner of the end zone. So the reason this is significant, it appears that when we are able to execute while running up tempo, this is when we are at our best. This is when you see the most flashes of us being a competent offense here. The reason it's so frustrating is because it's been too few and far between with these flashes. But they have shown when the route runners are executing, Brennan is able to find them on time. He's able to deliver the rock exactly where it needs to be. So a lot of folks are already writing him off. Some of this is warranted. We understand this. We discussed this yesterday. But I say this a lot on this show. I don't think you can focus on just the bad without also highlighting the good. We looked very good on this drive, and we were able to accomplish another key here in scoring the first points of the game.
Absolutely. And I want to piggyback off that in terms of, my offensive play also came on the first down. We're looking at a game that, we just got 2 straight 3-and-outs. UVA gets field goal, back to back. It's looking tough. It's looking like momentum is swinging in their favor. And then what happens? The drive where we start off with a 16-yard run by Michael Allen, and then a 1-yard run by Michael Allen, and then a pass to Kevin Concepcion run by Brennan Armstrong, and then to get another first down, and then the 48-yarder to KC. Now, let me tell you why that 48-yarder to KC is important. Big plays are soul-crushing plays. A lot of people like to say, oh, yeah, there's nothing more depressing than that long drive where you just impose your will. That's not true. That drive physically wears on you because you're just on the field for a while and you're having to move and groove for 10, 11, 12 plays. When you look up and you're like, hey, we're in this. It's a 1-point game. There goes KC. It's an 8-point game now. The feeling gets a little different. And on top of that, that was the moment to where I look at Anai, Armstrong, and company and say, what are we doing? Because at that point, you could tell Virginia was ready to break. You could tell they were right on the brink. Their next 2 drives, combined now for 5 yards and an interception. And that's not a joke. That's not an exaggeration. Their next 2 drives consisted of 5 yards and an interception. Had we capitalized and made something happen on either one of our drives coming off of that game is over. That game, they were looking to be put out of their misery, and we couldn't do it.
Now, this is actually a perfect segue into both of our defensive plays. Kenton, you mentioned the interception. I'd imagine it's not very hard for folks to think about which 2 plays we're going to hone in on here. Now, my pick for my defensive play here is the first interception. And I'll tell you why it's significant here for a number of reasons. So this is in the 4th quarter. At this point, we're leading 21-13. Kenton, you just kind of mentioned it there. UVA was begging to be put out of their misery at this point in time. They had not been able to generate much of anything offensively. We had been kind of playing with our food, I guess, on both sides of the ball at that point. UVA had the ball. It was 2nd and 9. And Calandria rolls out kind of a little bit of a broken play, rolls out to the right eventually, throws a bomb down the sideline looking for Malachi Fields. If he completed this pass, Fields is very likely gone for a 71-yard touchdown. That also probably would have broken our backs because this would have given UVA the opportunity to tie this game with about 9 minutes left. So, based on how the rest of the game played out, have to imagine UVA would have held all the momentum from that point on if that pass had been completed. However, it was an excellent play from Bishop Fitzgerald, tipping the ball into the hands of Sean Brown. Now, we also spoke about last week, this team needs to find ways to turn defense into offense. This was the perfect opportunity in this game, not just because it generated a turnover, but also because if we had scored on the subsequent drive, we likely would have put the game away right there. Up 2 scores there in the 4th quarter, it would have been closing time by Semisonic there as the rest of that clock ticked out. But here's what we did instead of scoring on that subsequent drive. We went Mims 3-yard rush, Mims 7-yard rush, Michael Allen 1-yard rush, incomplete pass, punt. Completely wasted opportunity here to put this one away.
And here's the thing, for the people saying you don't know if they would have put the game away if they scored that second time, I implore you, watch the Tennessee game and watch the Maryland game. With all due respect, that is a team that when you get them down double digits, the composure's gone.
Right.
The cool, all that, out the window. Done for. And they, at best, especially late in the game, they're definitely rolling over. You get up early, sure, they can chip away at it. They can take their time with that thing. You get up on them late, they start pressing. Calandria starts throwing that thing all over the yard, and not necessarily the guys with same color jerseys as him. So I agree there. My big play, the interception by Aiden White. Defensively, the interception by Aiden White. Because when I look at that interception, I'm looking at a situation where not only do they have all the momentum, but if you look at the plays that preceded the interception, you have two huge runs by Calandria that puts them on the edge of the red zone. A 16-yard rush by Calandria, a 15-yard rush by Calandria to get them down to the 26. So you're looking at a situation where if we don't get a turnover there, the game is then 21-16. And like you said, if we base it off of how this game actually went, what happens if they score there? They win the ball game.
Right.
They win the ball game. But instead, Aiden White comes up huge and shows us why his stats don't look like much this year, because nobody's throwing at him. Teams are not saying, hey, that's the guy. And if they are throwing at him, it's out of concepts that are creating a lot of conflict and saying, all right, we need multiple guys to flood this zone, so he's going to be wrong whatever he picks. That type of deal. Huge play by Aiden White, huge plays by our DBs. You know, when we're struggling at the linebacker position a little bit, like we have been at times this year, it's great to see our DBs coming along and making it happen. A defensive backfield that was extremely highly touted coming into this season. Great to see him making plays. Especially
the two guys that were involved in the interception that I touched on between Fitzgerald and Brown. Two guys that have now had to step up into a starting role because of injury. Of course, we're going to touch on a bit of these injury concerns here in just a minute after a quick word from our sponsors. Our first advertisement of the day is Gametime. If you're still looking for tickets for this Friday night's game against Louisville in the blackout at the Carter, look no further than Gametime. You shouldn't have to worry about buying tickets to your next big event. Gametime is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, and views from your seat, they have the absolute best price guarantee. And the Gametime guarantee always means you'll get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And again, create an account and use redeem code LOCKEDONCollege. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. Locked On College for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, it's Tuesday, so everybody knows what that means. It's everyone's favorite segment, whole lot of nothing or whole lot of something. We have another 3 topics here to roll through. We're going to discuss if it is significant or not significant as we move closer to Louisville on Friday. Our first one, Kenton. So discussing some of these injuries that are now appearing on our desk. Center Dylan McMahon and safety Devin Boykin are not listed on the depth chart due to injury for the Louisville game. Whole lot of nothing or whole lot of something?
Whole lot of nothing. Pitt is missing their starting quarterback. Virginia Tech's missing their starting quarterback and their best player in Ollie Jennings, wide receiver. Whole lot of nothing. And that's just 2 guys. Clemson, their best corner is rumored to be out for the season, potentially, after a very nasty spill he took against Florida State. Why am I mentioning these other teams? I'm saying this to say, in the words of Migos, everybody been through it. Ain't nobody new to it. We all gonna go through it. It's the struggle of health that is in football. Football is a gladiator sport. If you count on your roster being 100% healthy, brother, I got oceanfront property to sell you right off Lake Wheeler Road. Don't ask why it says lake instead of any type of ocean drive. Just give me the money first, because you believe that football players are going to stay healthy for an entire season. I got 2 torn Achilles and a bicep as well to show you football's a violent game and everybody ain't going to make it through. Everybody ain't able. That's just not the reality. Whole lot of nothing.
Right. And I actually agree with you. I really like the play we've gotten so far from Lyndon Cooper at center. I think he has filled in quite nicely. Of
Yeah.
course, maybe it is against a VMI and then a Virginia. Louisville is likely a different story, but I have liked what I've seen from Cooper so far, filling in McMahon's absence. But, we don't really know the significance of the leg injury for Dylan. Certainly hope he's coming back sooner than later, but from what I've seen so far, I do have a bit of confidence that Cooper will be able to hold this position down for the time being. And then as far as Boykin goes, went out very early in the Virginia game, did not return. Another one, haven't really heard a whole lot. I don't anticipate him being out that long. Of course, I'm no doctor here. I don't know the specifics, but I also have some confidence in Fitzgerald and Brown shoring up the safety position. Not as experienced as a guy like Boykin is, but if they can continue that level of play that we just saw against Virginia, making a potentially game-changing interception, that's something we're going to need out of the both of those two. Now, our second one here, KC, Kevin Concepcion, National True Freshman of the Week for On 3. Whole lot of nothing or whole lot of something?
Whole lot of something.
Absolutely.
That boy is a baller. He is a menace. And I'm going to tell you this much. He is an elite level slot. You pair him with some outside receivers that can get it done, boy, I tell you, it's going to be some smoke in the city, because when you got outside guys, like for whatever reason, we keep seeing this. Every team wants to go single high safety looks now. I don't know why, but everybody's obsessed with single high safety looks right now. What single high does generally is it erases your slot receiver to an extent, because you have more guys underneath in coverage. The double high safety means you have two, at least cover 2 or cover 4. You're either 2, 4, or 6. Those are the coverages you run out of 2 high safeties. The reality is very simple here. You're looking at a situation where you have a slot that is garnering so much attention, even with what people like to run. Pretty soon, teams are going to start bracketing them, which is going to leave more opportunities on the outside for a Rosner to get going, for a Timmons to get going, for all types of other guys, a Dakari Collins to get going, because, he's playing so well. So a whole lot of something there.
Yeah, certainly agree here. KC has emerged, especially in these last couple of games, but really emerged as early as the game 1 up at UConn. He is our most dynamic player on offense. I don't think it's any secret at this point. He has really pushed himself to the front of the offensive discussion here as really the only guy that's been able to produce week in and week out. Monster game up at UVA on Friday night. Very well-deserved recognition here for KC, and we're expecting a whole lot more from him. I do think he's probably the best route runner on this squad. Some of the routes he pulled off up at Virginia were incredible. The execution in his route running was part of the reason that Brennan was able to find him, and with so much space around him for him to get going after that. So, KC just being a true freshman, it seems like I'm bumping the previous tweet every single week, but he is going to be terrifying as he continues to build some experience here in just year 1, but certainly well-deserved and certainly a whole lot of something. Our last one here, starting to peek forward and look at Louisville this coming Friday. The opening line for this game, Louisville is favored by 3 points in Carter Finley. Whole lot of nothing or whole lot of something?
Whole lot of nothing. Vegas does their thing, and don't get me wrong, Vegas isn't wrong often. But what Vegas says about this game really, I think that it's very complimentary of NC State to say, like, hey, you're 3 points away from this team. And also it's a little bit of that, you ain't played nobody to Louisville in terms of, hey, you've dominated so far. You've looked phenomenal so far, but against whom have you looked, dominating and phenomenal, which is a legitimate question. But with that in mind, I'm still looking at this team and saying, hey, this is a team that can do it. They can put points on the board in a hurry. It's, to me, spread is a whole lot of nothing.
I'm going to go with a whole lot of something here, solely on the purpose of this could be used as bulletin board material. We're now home underdogs. A lot of people like to take the home dogs in a situation like this, especially when it's a Friday night game in Carter Finley. We got the blackout going. We all know what happens in night games at Carter Finley. And by that, I mean literally anything can happen because it's a raucous environment.
Yeah.
I think this
Insane.
could be a whole lot of something. However, I also might anticipate this line moving a little bit further as we get closer to Friday. I think Louisville might be favored. Could be as high as like 4.5 by the time the game rolls around. But whole lot of something in a sense that NC State should feel doubted here, and they should also see this as an opportunity to prove folks wrong. So I'm going to go a whole lot of something. Coming up next, we're going to talk about some NC State basketball, something we have not done in a couple weeks here as we've been so football focused. So for all of our Wolfpack Hoopers, be sure to check us out here in just a couple minutes as we land this plane. Our second sponsor of the day is DoorDash. Do you love the convenience of getting what you want right to your door? With DoorDash grocery delivery, you can stock up for the week or order last-minute cravings conveniently. If you need fresh groceries but don't have time to go to the store, try grocery delivery from DoorDash. You'll get everything you want delivered when you need it right to your door. If you've trusted DoorDash to deliver your restaurant favorites in the past, now you can get grocery delivery that actually delivers too. If you want even more value, you can save up all your grocery and restaurant favorites with a $0 delivery fee on all eligible orders with a Dash Pass membership. Get 50% off your first DoorDash order up to a $20 value when you use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at checkout. Limited time offer and terms apply. That's 50% off, up to $20, no minimum subtotal, and 0 delivery fees on your first order. Download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. Don't forget, that's code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked On College, for 50% off your first order with DoorDash. All right, now finishing off this Tuesday episode on the hard court, have not talked a whole lot of Wolfpack basketball here in the last couple weeks due to football being so prevalent, but some exciting news we got on Monday. David Thompson, the Skywalker, will have a statue December 6th at Reynolds Coliseum. This is long overdue, point blank period. Yeah. This is one of the greatest players, not just in NC State basketball history, but in ACC basketball history. Absolutely. If you want to take it a little bit further, maybe even college basketball history. This is a 3-time first-team All-American, 3-time ACC Player of the Year, landed our first national championship men's basketball in 1974. He was the 1975 National Player of the Year in college basketball, the number 1 overall pick. The list goes on. I really liked the football team honoring Dick Sheridan, bringing out the Holt brothers in the Notre Dame game to get the crowd pumped up. It's about time we honor our legend more frequently, I guess I should say. And honoring David Thompson, especially while he's still around with us, make sure that man gets his flowers.
While he can smell them.
Absolutely. So I'm very excited to see this statue unveiled here upcoming in December. But also on the topic of basketball, practice for real started on Monday as well. So before you know it, basketball season will be here. Of course, some of the things we haven't quite touched on here in the last couple weeks. Of course, a lot of folks were buzzing about MJ Rice and I guess his lack of presence in social media. That was because he took some time away from the team due to personal matters. However, he had posted on social media that he has returned to the team and he's looking forward to getting going. Certainly glad that MJ is okay now. Of course, personal matters will always come before basketball or anything else. Yeah. You got to take care of whoever you got to take care of first, especially if it's yourself. So certainly glad to hear that he is doing much better now. But as we get closer to this basketball season, of course, we will be touching a lot more on what to expect. But day one of practice, certainly something to get excited about.
Absolutely. And just to touch on the MJ Rice situation for just a second here. On this podcast, we always will tell you when we have sources, when we know, when we don't. One thing that will also happen, if we know that there are some personal circumstances that we would not feel comfortable disclosing if you ask, we're not going to bring that up. Now, granted, when there are personal reasons that we're like, oh, that's very unserious, but sure, we got to deal with this. We'll bring it to the desk. This is not one of those situations, and we're going to leave it at that. Now, moving on from there, I was surprised that David Thompson didn't already have a statue.
You would think, yeah.
I thought he already had one. I said, wait, unveiling? did they like cover it up and they're like, oh, we're unveiling all the statues as part of like our series thing?
We polished them up.
Yeah, like we're gonna unveil Jim Bovanos and we're gonna unveil Kate Yaos and all that. Like, what did the Skywalker didn't have one? What were we doing all this time? We had the ducats now. I seen our endowment. We had the ducats. What's going on, Randy? Open up them pockets, player, because this man, if anybody deserves one, and of all the accolades you talked about, I'll tell you what, if it wasn't for Nikola Jokic being born, he'd probably be the greatest Nugget of all time. With all due respect to Carmelo Anthony and my dear brother in the bond, Alex English, who was a walking bucket when he was on the court. He might be the greatest Nugget of all time. So, this is, like you said, long overdue, great player, did so much for the Pack, massive impact on Wolfpack basketball for decades going forward. Peace and much love to you, brother. Can't wait to see you at the statue unveiling.
Like I just mentioned here, it's so good to see Wolfpack legends being brought back fully being showered in the recognition that they deserve. And yeah, Kenton, it is kind of surprising that David Thompson did not already have a statue or some sort of memorial something here at NC State, because he certainly deserves as much. He is one of the biggest figures in NC State history. Statue is very, very warranted here, and we cannot wait to see it. That will do it for us here on this Tuesday episode. As always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Get those thoughts in the box so we can touch on all of those and be potentially featuring you on this upcoming Fan Friday. We will see you all tomorrow. Until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.